A desperate prayer beside a dark river was followed by lights in the sky. It's late at night in January 2007. Cold air moves across the Cape Fear River in North Carolina. The water is almost black beneath the moonlight. Somewhere behind you, voices drift faintly from the fishing spot where your teenage son and several friends remain near the riverbank. But you've walked away from them, alone, far enough that the sounds begin disappearing into the darkness. You stop beneath the trees beside the water and kneel down. Your chest feels tight. Your thoughts are racing. You stare upward into the night sky, desperately hoping for something, anything, to answer back, because your life feels like it's collapsing. Your health is failing. Your construction business is falling apart. Years of Crohn's disease have left you physically and emotionally exhausted. And this isn't some quiet symbolic prayer. This is desperation. Then suddenly, lights appear above the river, silent, bright, moving across the darkness over the water in ways that immediately feel wrong. At first, you try convincing yourself they must be aircraft, but the movement doesn't make sense. The lights change direction unnaturally, hover, move again. The atmosphere around the river changes instantly. The men near the fishing spot begin panicking. Some back away. Others stare upward without speaking. And before long, fear takes over completely. According to Chris Bledsoe's public interviews and retellings over the years, this encounter near the Cape Fear River in January 2007 became the beginning of a long series of alleged experiences involving orb sightings, missing time, visions, environmental disturbances, and encounters with a luminous female figure he later called the Lady. Bledsoe has publicly stated that portions of the original encounter became fragmented in his memory, leading to later claims of missing time associated with the incident. When he says he returned to the others, panic had already spread through the group. According to later interviews, the men later claimed the objects were following them as they attempted to leave the area. But for Bledsoe, personally, the experience allegedly affected far more than fear alone. In later interviews, and in his memoir, UFO of God, Bledsoe claimed his long-term Crohn's disease symptoms dramatically improved following the encounter. He interpreted this as part of the same phenomenon. Supporters view the healing claim as one of the most compelling aspects of the case. Skeptics argue stress, remission cycles, belief effects, or psychological transformation could also influence perceived recovery. Either way, the healing claim became central to how Bledsoe himself understood what happened that night. Over the years that followed, Bledsoe claimed the experiences continued around his property in North Carolina. He described recurring orb sightings appearing over trees and fields surrounding the home, strange lights, environmental disturbances, missing time experiences, vivid dreams, and increasingly spiritual encounters connected to what he believed was the same phenomenon from the river. Videos filmed near the property later spread widely online, bringing growing attention to the case. According to public discussions surrounding the story, various researchers, experiencers, podcasters, media figures, and investigators reportedly visited the property over the years. Some later publicly claimed they witnessed unusual aerial lights or unexplained activity themselves. As the story spread online, Bledsoe began appearing in interviews, documentaries, television programs, conferences, and major podcasts focused on UFOs, consciousness, spirituality, and unexplained phenomena. One particularly discussed area involved experiments and monitoring allegedly connected to Bledsoe's encounters. According to public interviews and televised discussions, Bledsoe participated in sessions where equipment was reportedly placed on his head to monitor neurological or brain activity while researchers attempted to observe his responses during claimed interactions or sightings. The exact interpretations of the results remain disputed, and no universally accepted scientific conclusion emerged from the testing. But the experiments helped push the story into conversations involving consciousness research and anomalous human experience. Then came one of the strangest and most controversial parts of the entire case. According to Bledsoe's own detailed retellings in long-form interviews, one encounter allegedly began around 3 a.m. after he had heard a powerful voice command him to arise. He claims beams of light appeared into his bedroom. Shadow-like figures allegedly moved nearby, and despite not fully understanding what was happening, he says he felt compelled to leave the house and walk outside toward a barn and kennel area on the property. According to Bledsoe, the atmosphere outside felt unnatural. The wind intensified violently around him. Then, according to his account, something massive moved overhead. He later described it as a translucent, bull-like figure crossing above him in the darkness. Not solid, not fully physical. He claimed he could actually see stars visible through its body as it passed overhead. Only after the figure disappeared did another presence allegedly emerge, a glowing female figure, calm, radiant, watching silently, the figure he would later call the Lady. Bledsoe has repeatedly described the experiences as emotional and spiritual rather than overtly hostile. According to him, the Lady communicated messages connected to warning, consciousness, human division, environmental crisis, and future upheaval. In later interviews, he discussed symbolic prophetic themes involving astronomical alignments, cycles of change, and what he interpreted as an approaching transition period for humanity. Some followers of the case later connected these claims to discussions surrounding celestial timing and future global instability, while critics argued the statements were symbolic, open-ended, or interpretive rather than predictive in a measurable sense. One alleged statement especially continued spreading online. According to Bledsoe, the Lady told him, "If you tell this story, I'll always be with you." As the years passed, the case continued dividing opinion. Supporters pointed toward the consistency of Bledsoe's retellings over many years, witness claims connected to the original encounter, orb footage filmed near the property, public claims from visitors who say they experienced unusual activity themselves, and the unusual level of attention the case has received from researchers and media figures connected to anomalous phenomena. Critics argue trauma and illness can affect perception. Memory evolves over time. Spiritual symbolism can shape interpretation. And many aspects of the case remain anecdotal and difficult to independently verify. Yet, despite the controversy, the story refuses to disappear, because it no longer fits neatly into one category. It exists somewhere between a UFO encounter, a spiritual experience, a consciousness phenomenon, and a modern prophecy story. And maybe that's why people continue returning to it. A man kneels beside a dark river, believing his life is collapsing. He prays desperately for help. Lights appear overhead. Time allegedly disappears. And according to him, the phenomenon never truly left.